Enough about politics. Summative, please.
All right, summative, right? Back to summative. We all have module 5 summative, right, in front of us, right? So, question number 1: describe origins, history, and development of the internet, right? So, this one is easy. I don't have to explain anything there. Okay, identify the major uses and applications of the internet. So, at net 1, what are the major uses of the internet? Uses and applications of the internet.
I wrote email and social media.
Right, yeah.
That's what most people use it for.
Yeah. Different answer?
Not really.
We're using internet for now. We're using it for euphoria.
Right. So, internet is important, right? Like, especially these days, right? Most of our classes or meetings are online, so we use it for video conferencing, right? Which is very important. All right. What is that? Number 3, describe the physical context of a web.
We have euphoria on 3rd floor.
Third?
Yeah, we have euphoria and Teams as well.
All right. And then number 3, describe the physical context of web pages. Make use of an example to explain your answer. The physical context of web pages. Anyone has completed this one? What did you answer? What did you say then?
I said it is for area around the main information on the page, like images, color, hyperlinks, etc.
Right. So the context or the structure again of the so with HTML, right? Okay, there's some other small pieces or small tags that we haven't looked at, but I believe you guys. I was thinking that you guys are going to maybe kind of do your own research, because here's the thing when it comes to development, right? I can't teach you everything in development. Even me right now, there are certain things that I don't even know, right? So I just introduce you to development, right? Different pieces, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. And then after that, you take it from there and say, okay, I have learned this. This is now the information that I have. How can I gather more information? For me, there's no way I can teach you everything. So with this part, describe the physical context of a web pages. There is a structure that needs to be followed. There are certain things that need to be on the website, of which those things, Rose, you have mentioned them, right?
Yeah.
So we have to look for that information, and then the tags for that. If we have what we call the select, the nav, all those tags that allows you to add or to create like a physical structure, a proper structure of your website. All right. So number 4, describe how the World Wide Web can be applied in an internet and extranet. Make use of an example to explain your answer. WW can be applied in an internet and extranet. So the World Wide Web internet can be made accessible from within an intranet to the user. This would mean that the user could access the internet network from within the intranet. All right. So here we're looking for your own explanation, right? So we spoke about the intranet being used to maybe also access our clients, like create a private network with our clients. So it can be used for that. Or can be used to create our intranet within our different branches. Okay. And then number 5, describe the latest internet applications, including web-based, email, instant messaging, and voice over IP. So voice over IP, these are the phones that use our data they use our data for communication, right? So back in the day, our organizations, we used to pay for telephones and also pay for data separately. But now, because of the voice over IP, so our VoIP phones, they are connected to our data. So they use the PoE, power over Ethernet cables, and then they receive that data. So we only pay for data now, also even for voice. So that's the VoIP part. And then Cisco, they have their own VoIP systems, and then Microtech, Huawei, they have their own. You just need to know how to configure those on the server side, right? But basically, it's just like giving them IP address. Mostly we use the DHCP, and then I usually put these on their own VLAN, right? Just put them on their own VLAN. The phones separate them from the rest. And then the phones, what I usually do is anything that is real-time communication in our network, we call it the QoS. I configure QoS on my network, which is quality of service. Quality of service, meaning that if it's live communication, for example, now we are on Teams, right, which is live communication. So let's say there's other users in your network that are browsing the internet, they're busy looking for things on the browser and stuff like that. So quality of service, what it does is it takes some of the bandwidth from the devices that are not really on the real-time communication software or tools, and then it allocates more data so that when you're communicating with someone over VoIP, you are clear, is the communication, the line is clear, you can hear each other, and then also when you're on Teams, the lines are clear. So that's I use QoS to kind of like configure that so that I can allocate more data. The minute someone else answers the call, I automatically, my systems, they allocate more data, more bandwidth to the VoIP lines, right? So that our communications may be clear. Let's say, for example, now at home, right? I'm online, and then you find, okay, maybe someone else here at home, they're busy on YouTube and stuff like that, of which the YouTube might take some of the bandwidth. But if I have QoS, then it will allocate to more bandwidth to the system that I'm using right now, which is Teams, as long it is live communication, real-time communication. Okay, electronic email, often abbreviated as email. What is method of exchanging no. Okay, we know what emails are. Are the email new? Describe the latest internet applications, including web-based email, instant messaging. So here I'm looking for the new tools, right? Like for anything that is new technology, new applications. So I won't write email. All right, so what are the new technologies or applications that we have now that are used more in our work environment?
Teams can be one of them.
Teams can be one of them, right? Like most of the companies now, we're relying on video conferencing, right? Teams, Zoom, all of these other some companies, they have their own in-house inbuilt video conferencing tools. Cisco have their own called I forgot it. It's just that the licensing for that one is a bit expensive, so that's why we moved to Teams, to Microsoft Teams. All right. Okay, let me look for. Are we okay with these assignments? We got all the information that we need, right? 15 unit standard demonstrate understanding of the principles of the internet. Right now, moving to this one, which says learn how to define the problems. Okay, I think I have a slide. I think I have a Word document somewhere. Where is it? Let me see if I have. All right, describe the issues around the following data management factors. Make use of examples to explain your answer. All right. So describe the issues. Okay, number one is access. All right, what are the issues around the following? What are the issues around the data access or access when it comes to databases? So remember, this unit standard is covering the computer database management, right? Demonstrating understanding of computer database management systems. So all the questions that are in this unit standard, they refer to mostly the database. So describe the issues around the following data management factors. Make use of the examples, explain your answer. We have the access. First one is access. So once you create the database, right? Okay, let me start with what you guys answered already. Jackie, you have written this one, right?
I did, but I have to be honest, this question, I don't even know where I got these answers from. They're very bad, so I need to fix them because they're very, very bad.
All right. Rose?
For access, I said who can lose what data and when it's changed. For example, changing a said document.
Right, so we database, we said like all of these tables that we have in our database, they're accessed by many people, right? So we need to know who has access to what resources or what on the database, and then if there are any changes that are made on the database, this will help us again to be able to conduct an audit to know, okay, who changed what. So access is very important, who has access to what, and then we have to also make sure that the tools that we use and then make it easy for our users to access any data on our system. But also we need to have control of who has access to what exactly on our database, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the most important thing. Who has access to what resource on our database? And then we need also to be able to control, to have like full control of whatever is happening on our database. So the part of the permissions must be configured correctly there so that the correct people will have access to the system. We want them to have access, and then also we want the right people to have access to those resources. Right.
I think that's probably the only question I got right out of this whole thing.
Okay, let's see. Maybe you got the next one correct. Shared use.
I said it's a useful feature as multiple people can access data at the same time.
Yeah, so it is a more convenient means of exchanging data than the file transfer, as it allows for immediate updates, right? So it makes it easy for us, for different people in our organization to access or to work on one document. For example, let's say we have a project that we're working on, and then we want maybe 3 people from this department to work on this document. So we can share that document and then give permissions to all of these 3 people, say, okay, you are the owner of the document, and then you are the only one maybe we have the rights to delete anything, and then the other they have the permissions maybe to view, to read, or to add some information to the to that specific document. So it is more convenient means of exchanging data than the transfer of the files.
Okay.
Okay, the other important part with the shared use, right? Back in the day, we used to have an issue whereby most of our information was stored locally, right? So we have maybe more from one department, and then she's working on a document that maybe the other department needs. Now she doesn't show up to work, she doesn't come to work because of some other reasons. Now, because that information is stored on your personal computer, then we don't have access to that. So that's why we have like now the shared drives, we have like the servers where we can all store that information on one location so that if anyone needs access to that system or to that document, they can have access to that document at any time. So it's important to use the shared use of documents. All right. What about security?
It's also the same to give access to individuals.
Yeah.
We can't have access or give access to everyone because of security reasons. Some files are to be secured because of the sensitive information.
Right, correct, yeah. So when it comes to cybersecurity, right, we have something called the CIA, right, which is it covers the confidentiality of the data, I for integrity of the data, and then number 3, availability. So the job of anyone who's doing cybersecurity is to make sure that the confidentiality of the information is kept, right, and then the integrity, the data is not changed, no one alters the data, right, and then by so doing, you're going to need tools that will maybe grant access to the right people, to the right resources, and then so that they won't change any information from the. So, in short, cybersecurity, you have to make sure that the tool, the resources or the data is available when the right people need it, right? And then only the right people have access to that specific document. So that's the main thing about the cybersecurity, right? The CIA. Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So the system or the tool or whatever data the people that are working on must be available, must be protected. And then the people that really give what you call permissions to that specific document are the owners of the document. For example, let's say you are in the IT department and then you want to know the level of confidentiality of a document. You as an IT department person, IT personnel, you won't know how important that document is and then what exactly is in that document, right? But the owner of the document, they will tell you the level of confidentiality of that document, right? We have what we call secret. We have, what are the terms of the CIAs? We have secret, we have confidential, and then
Classified.
Classified, all of those terms, right? So we have those levels, all of those terms, right? So the owner of the document is the one who's going to tell you, okay, this is a classified document. So if you put it as classified, then I, as a cybersecurity analyst, now I need to know, okay, how do I protect this document? Who needs to have access to this document because it is a classified document, right? All right, so that's security. And then integrity, again, no one needs to alter the document. We have to protect the integrity of that information. For example, let's say we have our website, right? And then Net1 website, right? And then an intruder gains access to our data on the website. What damage can the user cause if they have access to the source code of our website? So we have a website that is for Net1, right? And then
I'll pay myself more money.
You pay yourself more money, all right?
For salary, just another 3 zeros.
Selling data to the highest bidder.
You see, so that's the thing, right? Like, so the owner of the data or the resource or whatever we're working on, they'll tell us the level of confidentiality to that system, and then we'll decide, okay, what controls do we put to that system? And then also when we put in the controls, we're looking at the damage that can be caused to that specific data if it is changed, right? If someone else alters this, how much damage can it cause to the organization, right? So those are things that we look at. And then after that, there's some other things that are public, right? But they don't need to be altered. If they're altered, they affect the organization. What systems are like that? Whereby they're supposed to be public, but we also have to protect integrity of that document, of that specific thing. What is it that we can think about when you're talking about the system or the data must be public, but it has to be protected, the integrity.
Can it be the website that Net1 has, the EasyPay website, where it gives the information, but for the integrity of the information still has to be protected because of false advertising issues, things like that?
Right, so
that's good.
So is there someone saying something?
No, I was saying, oh yeah, that's good. I didn't think of that.
Yeah, right. So those are the things, right? Like sometimes you find that whatever you're protecting is supposed to be public, right? But you've got to protect the integrity of that information. So now you have to think about the controls now that you have to use in terms of like, okay, this must be public, it's for everyone, but I also must protect the integrity. If someone else alters that information, then what damage can it cause to the company? So yeah, so there is a lot when it comes to this information, especially on the cybersecurity side of things, right? We deal with only the 3 words, right? Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. But there's so much that comes into that, right? We have the risk, we have vulnerabilities, we have the controls, we have tools that we can use to protect the information that is supposed to be public but not altered. And then there's some that let me not go to the cybersec. All right, now privacy. What do you write when it comes to privacy? Anyone wrote anything?
I wrote the privacy of users must be protected.
Right, these days we are forced by the POPI Act when we're developing a website, right, that collects maybe user information, we have to tell the users what we're going to use their data for, and then we ask for permission. But I'm sure these days when you go to any website and then you have to upload your information and stuff like that, there is maybe a button that you have to click that you accept that they're going to use your information in whatsoever way, right? So now we have organizations that are in place controlling that, right? So data access, privacy, the terms data protection and data privacy are often used interchangeable, but there is an important difference between two. Data privacy defines who has access to data, while data protection provides tools and policies to actually restrict access to the data, right? So privacy, after that, we need data protection, which will now the IT department or cyber experts will now decide, okay, what policies can we put to this data, right? And then what are the actual restriction access that we can put on this data so that the correct people must have access to the system. So the data privacy and data protection, those are the two different things. So now we're looking at the data privacy, which is defining who has access to what data. And then while data protection provides tools and policies to actually restrict access to the data. All right, where's the next one? Reliability. What did you write on reliability?
I said users must have reliable access to data when needed. For example, where the server where the data is held must always be functional so that users have access without issues or delays.
Correct. Yeah.
So Rose, can you repeat that?
I wasn't the one that said it.
It was me. Users must have reliable access to the data. So, for example, the server where the data is held must always be functional so that users can access it without delays.
Right.
Oh, okay, cool.
So when we're building a database, right, it must be a database that is reliable, right? As Jackie said, like the users, when they need this data, they must be able to access, especially the authenticated users, the authorized users, when they need access to this data, they must have access to it anytime they need the data, right? So this broadly means that database performs consistently without causing problems, right? So that means we always have a reliable database that performs consistently. All right, that is reliability. What about risk? So this is the part where we say, okay, now there's some of the data that must be public, right? And then we looked at the risk that can come when the wrong person have access to the data that is supposed to be public, right? So the risk, what did you write when it comes to risk?
Is database secure or at risk of being hacked?
Yeah. So I think we spoke about this where Liberty got hacked, right? And then the guys got hold of their information, of which now it affected the company brand, whereby their clients, they felt like they can't trust Liberty anymore because of they lost like sensitive information. And then I think that information was on sale on dark web, something like that. So the risk that comes with us losing our data it might be like the company, what you call, whereby the company does our clients don't trust us anymore. What's the term for that? The brand what?
There's no such, I don't know.
I'm looking for that term whereby people are your network clients, right? They don't really trust you anymore because of an attack that happened to you guys.
We have one. It's called Sasa.
Oh.
Brain is a brain company. Brain, like, okay.
What do you need?
Say that. You said no.
Sasa. They don't trust us because of Sasa. It's our term.
What's your term? Oh, okay. Yeah. So those are the things that those are the risks that we face, right? So that going forward, you find that the clients, they don't want to do business with you because maybe of a certain attack that happened, or we lost the data that we're supposed to protect, and then now the company is facing a lawsuit because once you lose people's information, especially like the what they call the personal identifiable information, right? Whereby we're talking about your ID number, your name, your surname, your phone number, where you live, right? Those are personally identifiable information. So if net one is to lose that information or get hacked, then you might find that there are organizations that will come now and then we're going to face a lawsuit and stuff like that. So those are the risks that we face when we don't really protect our data. And then the other thing now, when it comes to risk, when we getting hacked, when we get hacked by any hacker, so they will come in and look at the controls. The investigation, it's all about the controls that we put in place before we got hacked, right? They will look at, okay, this is the data, which is very sensitive, right? And then how did you protect this specific data? For example, if what is it, the GDPR, and then the other organization is the POPI Act, right? So they will tell you, okay, if you have a network, a big network, right, and then the sensitive information must be on its own VLAN. For example, it's separated from the rest. This is something that we're supposed to do on Packet Tracer or Cisco, which is called the VLANs, where you create your own virtual network within your network, right? You have like your network, and then you create a virtual LAN, whereby on that virtual LAN, you only put the specific or the sensitive information, then you protect them. So when the investigators come in, they will look at the controls that you put in place to protect that information. If they find out, okay, you didn't put enough controls to protect that information, then you're going to face the lawsuit. Sometimes it happens that we try by all means to put all the controls, but bad things happen even to good people, right? You get hit even though you put the wrong, the correct, the correct tools or the correct controls. So you find out, okay, that person get hacked. That's the so the investigators will look at what controls did you put in place in order for you to protect that information. All right, and then performance.
Performance would be very similar to the answer for reliability.
Yeah, exactly the same, right? Whereby if any user wants access to that information, the response time from the database must be fast so that the users can continue with their work or get the information by the time they need it, right? And then integration. So integration, right? 6 biggest data integration challenges you can't ignore will be your data isn't where you need it to be, right? So you have data coming from, remember we said you might have like different databases that are connected together, right? And then those databases, when the user is working on the database, they'll see the database as if it's one, while it's like it's many databases on the side, right? So one of the problems will be your data is there, but it's late, right? Integration, like it arrives late. So it's coming from different systems, but it doesn't arrive, or you don't get that data the time you need it. That's the problem with the integration. And then your data, one of the most important things is, worrying things is your data isn't formatted correctly. So what does that mean? If your data is not formatted correctly, you find that, okay, your first column or your first field is for dates, and then the other field is for maybe for name, the other one is for surname and stuff like that. And then when you try to integrate all of that, the columns or the fields are not the same. So you find that on the field for dates, there are names, there are now surnames on that part. So which becomes a problem, because now when you want to filter data based on dates, the system won't be able to filter data because now there is date and then there is name. So the system will give you an error. So those are the other problems that you're going to face when it comes to integration. Your data isn't formatted correctly, or you have poor quality of data. So poor quality of data basically is just the data that is not correctly organized. And then the other one would be there are duplicates throughout your pipeline. So the example that I gave was like when you have, my baby's crying now. All right, the example that I gave was when you're a security operations center, right? And then we have systems that are, maybe we have like 3 or 4 systems that are reporting the state of our other devices in our network, right? And then you find that most of those devices, they are reporting the same information. So now we have duplicates of data in our systems. So that's the problem of the integration. So the data is coming from different monitoring systems, right? And then our devices are reporting to all of those monitoring systems. And then the monitoring systems, they take that information, put it on a database. You find that, okay, 1 system or 2 systems, they're reporting about, the monitoring systems are reporting the same thing about 1 device. So we end up having some duplicates. Okay, the other problem with the integration would be there is no clear common understanding of your data, right? Like it's coming from 1 system and another one's coming from another system. The data doesn't there's no common understanding, like it's not clear at all. So that's the problem with the integration, right? And then the last one is data itself.
I said data can be anything from personal information about staff members or the text in an email traveling from one mailbox to another.
Right. So data. Anyone who answered differently? Did I have any information about data? Rose?
Melusi.
Yango?
With that, remember when I called you, I asked you about adding data, and then you said we could use SQML.
Yep, SQL. So we said we have PHP, SQL, and then we have a MySQL or MySQL, right? So
yes.
data like can be a database that where you store information, and then also SQL can the language that will allow you to access that. So now I'm trying to find here an answer to answer this data thing here, the word as a data, issues around the following data management factors, the data. So basically, for me, the data will be trying to protect it in that 3 steps, right? Which is the CIA. That is the most important part, right? Like the job of a cybersecurity analyst. So cybersecurity analyst, we can also protect the database, not only database, but all of our networks. So the data must be, the user will tell us, okay, is it confidential, this information, or is for public use? And then sometimes they'll say it is for public use, but we have to keep its integrity, and then also it must be always available 24/7, right? So I will check that route of the CIA, right? The confidentiality, knowing, okay, is it confidential? Is it the integrity? What happens if it change? And then what happens if it's not available? What impact? Okay, now we looked at the impact or the effect when let's say the data is altered, right? What effect can it have on our systems? What about now when the system is not available? Let's look at any network systems, right? If that system was to go down or it's not available, what impact can we have?
Being unable to work, delayed responses.
Right. So if any system is not available, so that's the part. Like for me, when it comes to data or to any system in a network, I look at it on the cyber security side of things to say, okay, I'm monitoring the CIA, the 3, right? And then I look at the tools. What tools do I have? And then when it comes to data, what happens if the data, that specific data was not available on a database? How can that affect anyone? Integrity. What happens to the data if it's not if it's altered by someone else? So you can answer it based on that, right? The CIA, or choose any answer for that data. All right, any questions from number 1? Okay, number 2 now. Describe the manner in which data management system deals with these issues mentioned above. Which issues? Oh, the top, one at the top. I think we've explained these, right?
Yeah.
The data management systems, right?
We have.
All right, okay. Just give me a second. I just want to do something. Let me do this.
So what is everyone doing today?
Well, I still have 2 assignments to finish. Otherwise, I think sleep.
Yeah, also me, I have to fix
Assignment.
all my answers that I messed up.
I have 1 module 4 assignment and 1 module 5 assignment outstanding.
Yeah.
But that's it. Everything else is done.
Mine are just these 2 summative assignments, which I didn't really understand. But I realized that all my questions are also quite bad, so I must redo them.
Basically, just ran out of time with everything that's been happening lately, so.
Yeah.
This whole thing. It looks like a cat is walking on Malusi's keyboard, maybe there.
Yeah, something is happening. I don't know. Been
Oh, the
muted.
baby is sitting by his computer. The baby is smacking the keyboard.
But that's nice, so that's bad.
Busy.
What's happening?
Is he not maybe talking and he didn't unmute us by accident?
I'm not sure what's happening because I can even see this thing moving.
Yeah, he's probably busy talking to us and asking us all questions, but he doesn't realize he's on mute still.
Yeah, I think he's on mute.
Can you guys
Yeah,
hear
he's
me?
Oh,
definitely
welcome.
Hey,
Zero,
I'm done explaining.
Oh, you are back.
what's
Wow.
happening?
I forgot to unmute my mic. Let me.
Hey,
Yeah.
Oh, he's projecting his
no,
phone, isn't it?
it's just a
He realizes-
conversation.
Just a break.
All right, let me go back to
What classing him, me?
all right, assignment 1, review database management system requirements, right? So number 1, what I said was identify the user requirements. So before we decide which data structure we're going to use, we have to, let's say, maybe choose, okay, my baby's, all right. All right, can you hear me, guys?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
All right, cool. So step number 1, identify the user data requirements. So this is the part whereby before we even decide which database structure are we going to use, we will need to find out the requirements from the user. Because we say when you're using a hierarchical structure database, there are the pros and cons of that, and then the relational database. So before we decide which structure or which database management system we're going to use, we have to find out the requirements. What is this database going to be used for? And then after that, match the objectives, which is what the client has told us what exactly they want, requirements with the suitable relevant types of DBMS. Now we decide and say, okay, we're going for a relational database management system because this is the requirements from the client, and then this structure will work well because their data will be laid out this way, and then the relationship of the data, it will make it easy for the clients or the users to access any data that they want. That's why I am going for relational database, or I'm going for network database management systems. And then now on number 3, identify the interactions that there should be between the tools used and the data in the database. So data access tools, I did mention the different types of data tools that can be used. We have the Oracle RDBMS, we have like the AMI, we have the SQL, we have different data access tools that we can use. So you're going to choose, decide which tool are you going to go for. I will say, okay, I go for SQL because this is the most used statement or language for databases, so most people are familiar with it, and then it will be easy for anyone to pull the information from a database using the SQL access tool, right? So I explained all that on that assignment. So review DBMS requirements. The client gave you the requirements, and then based on the client requirements, you decide which database structure are you going to go for. All right, assignment number 2, program support documentation. So this is the part where we say we have developed our own system, right? Our system is up and running. So now what we want is our clients to, our users to explain how the system works to our users. So identify a suitable format, outline and style for the use of a user documentation suited to the needs of your organization and the selected application. So documentation planning, that's the process that you're going to go through. During this step, you will effectively plan your document, content, outline, and requirements. I think I have an example. Let me try to share that, the one that we used before. Let's see, where is it? Let me try to share that. So I have something here.
I think the baby doesn't like this class.
You know, he's
shame.
complaining
So
now,
sad.
you know. Let me see. Blah, blah, blah. Where can I go to find this? Okay, can you see the red editor document now?
Yeah.
All right, so this is the documentation, right? But for you, you don't have to give me this detailed information because we're just like simulating, right? So, but this is just like the structure of how you can design the user manual. Okay, end user manual. So end user documentation, we have like about this guide. Okay, this is too much information there. End user. So I will share this so that you can see the structure and then maybe how you can summarize this. It's a Word document. You can just maybe edit that and then. So basically, I need this like this about this guide, purpose. We should use the guide about maybe the software that you have designed, right? Let's say this is we have developed our own software, and then we are giving this software to our network users, right? So we want them to know how to use this software. So you're gonna about this network software. So you're gonna go through this, like, but you don't have to write everything that you see on this, right? So just summarize it, and then also we're gonna need a draft. We're going to need a draft for this chemistry.
Melusi, that's 100 pages.
Again, I say you're going to summarize, like you just create your own.
You don't summarize all 100.
No, as long as I need the structure, right? To say, okay, this is information about this document. The user needs to do 1, 2, 3, just the basic structure, and then you're done. Like you don't have to summarize the entire document. That one is just like for you to see how the end user documentation looks like. Right.
Okay.
Melusi, is it fine if we use like an existing program that we use? It will sound silly, but for example, if we make a fake manual, a fake user documentation for the Outlook email, for example.
Exactly, you can do that, yes. Because
Okay.
what we're looking for here is that you create a documentation. You know what is needed to be part of that documentation so that the user will really understand your documentation in the end.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
And then, okay, let me see. Let me switch back to, I think that was last assignment, right?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
For module 5, yeah.
All right, for module 5, all right. I got something else. I got something else that you guys need to do. There are more assignments outside module 5 and 6, right? So where is that?
Documentation draft.
So I'll say that one, right? So you know, okay, where's what I'm looking for? Okay, so I said I'm going to demonstrate how to host a website, but my baby now is complaining. Let me see if I can quickly say what shucks. Assisting dev compute. All right, we have challenges that we need to do, but we first have to cover JavaScript, right? This one is for JavaScript. So use JavaScript to change the value of the source attribute of an image. So remember, now we know how to add an image on a web page, right? Remember the text that we use. Yes.
Yes.
So we're going to use JavaScript to alter or to change the value of the source attribute of an image using JavaScript. Remember we said JavaScript is there like to manipulate maybe the text for HTML or also to give us a logic, right? If this do 1, 2, 3, else do this, right? We said HTML is just like for the structure of the website, right? Just creating the structure, and then CSS more for styling, giving some life to the web page, and then JavaScript giving logic, and then if there's operation or something that you want to do which HTML and CSS can't do, then we bring in JavaScript. So we're going to look at the basics of JavaScript. Once we do that, then this is our challenge. So what we want to do is to write a code that will switch off a light and then switch it back on using JavaScript, plain Java, HTML and JavaScript. But on this assignment, we don't want any styling. So it will be the basic, only the JavaScript and then the HTML.
Okay.
Right.
So we just give you the input of that.
Exactly. So I need a bulb, right? So you're gonna need bulb or a GIF of a bulb that is on and off. That is the one that is on and the other one that is off, right? And then use JavaScript to switch on and off that. So whereby someone can only click one button and then the light switches off, click a button to switch it on using JavaScript. All right. Okay, but for now, I'm sure, yes, it doesn't really make sense because we haven't really looked at JavaScript, how it works and stuff like that. Don't worry about this one. This is the one that we need to look at now. So build a web page that is information about your department. You remember that we haven't submitted these, right?
We did.
We did.
We did. Yes.
Did what?
Submit the web page that is information about your department. I haven't received one from Patricia, no.
No, I don't even know what is this.
Didn't I send it to you, Melusi?
This is a separate one from that
There's no
other one.
pictures.
Eh?
I'm lost.
Okay, so we are supposed to build a web page, but now I have changed this, right? So I want to show you some. So what we need to do is we need to collaborate, right? Work as a team, right?
Yes,
so
that's what you said.
Yeah, someone else do one piece and then someone else another piece, and then we integrate our code and then see how it works, right? So we're looking at collaboration. So how we work as a team, and then how do we share that code and stuff like that. And then also the other important part is build a login and registration form, host it using w3schools.com free hosting account. Okay, so that's our assignment. So after module 6, this is what we have to submit. Yeah. Yeah, you guys are the ones who applied for this IT learnership, so this is the work. Let me switch to Python now. Let's see. Level 5, hopefully it won't have like too much work. Let me see. System development net 1. Okay, okay, Python challenge is system development level 5. Okay, this one I usually give it to level 5, but you guys are smart, right? So we can even do it on level 4, it's fine. So again,
what? Oh, level 5.
Confidence, yeah, emotionally confident.
We can start on level 4 with this. Module 1, these are the challenges. So we're going to look at the basics of Python, right? Again, I always tell people, there's no way I can teach you everything about Python. I just introduce you to any language, and then after that, you take it from there, right? There is so much to learn in Python, of which even today, there are certain things that when I look at them, I'm like, okay, how did you do this? And then the person will tell you, okay, I use Python. And they'll be like, okay, I didn't know that Python can do this. Like, Python is used for AI, is used for scripting, is used for web development. So there's so many ways you can use Python. There's so many things that you can build with Python, right? So these are the tasks after module 6. Then we have to go through maybe the basics of Python, and then we do these challenges from module 1 to module 4. And then once we're on level 5, we start from module 5 unto module 11, which is the challenges of Python. All right. Okay, let me move to what I've been building now. Let me see if I can go to my project. Can I share my project? Let me do this. Share the desktop, HTML. Can you guys see my screen? No.
No.
No, there's nothing.
Okay, just want to share this. So go to the project.
Pat,
Mama?
Kisherile something on the group. It's that question that Melusi said that we didn't do. So I just copied it.
Okay.
Okay, guys, can you see my folders here?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So this is the assignment for the bulb, okay, and then where is the one for?
Yes.
I'm looking for.
Melusi, can we compare your answer with the one that's on the group?
My answer, which one for the bulb?
Yeah.
I'll show it to you. But I'm looking for. Where's my web page? Logic, select, system dev. Practice. All right. So this is what I'm looking for, right? So you can see my folder, right?
Yes.
You can see my the practice and then the files that are in here, CSS, images, and then there's 2 HTML files. Can you see the HTML files that I have here?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. So this is the collaboration I'm talking about, right? You find that someone is dealing with one piece, which is the index, which is the entire web page, right? Like, okay, the home page of the website, right? Someone's working on the home page, and then you have seen that most of the website, they have a form field for about us, right? If you want to know about us, and then on that part, they have information about that specific company, right? And then down here, we have, you can create a page for the contact, right? If you want to communicate with us, whereby people fill in their information, and then it's either their phone numbers, their names, so that we can be able to call them back, right? You have seen that on the websites, right?
Yeah.
So all of those things, you find that, okay, they are separate. They are separated, right? On the server, they are stored separately. It's not when you go to the website, you click about, it takes you exactly to about, and then when you click contact, it takes you to contact. So what happens is, on the server side, on the web server, those things are separate. You find that they are separate. Someone didn't put them all together, right? It was done maybe by 3 people or by 2 people, but it's on a different folder. So now I want to open this one. And then, okay, you can see the CSS. The CSS we know is for styling, right? So whatever I have here on these HTML folders, it is styled using this folder that I have on the CSS. And then the images that are supposed to be part of these HTML files, they are still part of this. That's why last time I said when we're creating the website, we need to create maybe one folder, and then all of our work, we store it on one folder. It's just like for location, because we have relative referencing, we have absolute referencing. It's easy for a browser to locate something that's on the same folder. So if it's not on the same folder, then we have to specify the entire path to that folder. Let's say, for example, the images are not on this folder, they're on a different path. So now when I'm adding images on the website or on the HTML file, then now we have to specify the path that the images are in, like the location of the images. So, but if they're on the same folder, then I just have to type in images. It's easy that way, right? So it becomes easy if you are referencing something that is already on the same folder. So on the web server, that's how you store it there. So you can see we have the contact file, we have the about file. And then this is the main home page. And then I open that. Can you see welcome to AAT, right? Is it?
Yes.
All right. So what you saw that side, you see this about and then this contact.
Oh, yeah.
So those files are three different files. These are three different files. So they might be done by many people. So we have linked those files to this website. So when a user is clicking about, you see, it takes you to about. They don't even know that in the background or in the on the server side, these files are what are on a different location. They are separate files. And then someone else is working on what? On the contact. You see, there is the contact. So all of those files that you saw there, the contact, the about, and then the home can be done by three different people. And then we bring them all together, or the one who's working on the home, they will just link to about and then link to contact. Right? If I want to go back to home, then I'm back at home. Right? So that's the information, that's how you work on this. And then the other thing is you can use the website builders. So you can go to any website builder that has built this for you. So you can just edit that.
Okay.
Right? Instead of building your own site from scratch, but if you can build your own from scratch, then go ahead. Build your own from scratch. Right? And then it would be best if you build your own, you know, so that when we are on level 5, we only, because on level 5 we have lazy developers, right, whereby we are only relying on the code that was created by someone else, right? So but on level 4 you are still trying to master or understand how HTML works. So I think it would be best if you don't use an existing or a website builder, just create your own. Right? So does it make sense what I was talking about now, right? The home and then about, you see, when you are browsing here, it doesn't really show that, okay, these are two different files, right? It looks like it's one thing.
Yeah.
Because those files are all linked together. And then the CSS is on the side, but it communicates, or it is the one that is controlling what we see here. Because HTML, when I hover on this, it doesn't, there's no HTML tag that you can use when you're hovering on a tag or on a button that changes color. HTML can't do that. It can give you the button, but it can't give you the colors to the button. So this is the what you call CSS changing the colors when you hover on this. All right. Okay, there's something else I want to show you before. So this is our project, right? So you know what's required from your site when building this site, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So someone will work on the home, and then someone else on about, and then contact, right? And then see what we can do. And then after that, I think we need to host this. You need to be able to host this. Let me see if I can show you how to host this. W3 schools. So this is the site I used to teach, right? Most of the people, so it has everything, the basics to HTML, CSS, JavaScript, SQL, Python, PHP. Most of the people that learned programming, that are self-taught, this is the resource that they use to learn programming. If you want to learn SQL, you can come to this site, right? And then I want to log in. Okay, so the part that you're looking for is spaces. Spaces is a new feature, right? That they just added to this site. So spaces, it allows you to host website, right? So you can see down here. Last week I was teaching this other group how to host a website. So you saw the files that I was showing you about this site, the HTTP site home. It was in one folder. And then here on the website, what this site does, or what the domain companies do, is they give you a domain name. It's like more of a space on the web server, on their web server, to say, okay, instead of you storing your files locally on your machine, you can store them remotely on our web servers. So that when anyone goes to the browser, types in your website name, then it will direct them to the browser, will request that information from the domain name or the domain server. The domain server will respond with your website, the content of your website that's on the website, right? Because you saw that when we type in your domain name local on your machine right now, if it's not hosted, the browser won't return anything, right? So first we have to host it. As you can see here, I've hosted mine here called the system dev, right? And then .w3spaces.com. So these company W3 schools have provided me with that domain name, which is w3spaces.com. And then my site name is system dev. So right now in your phone or in your laptop, if you type in systemdev.w3spaces.com, you will see my website because I have hosted it on the web server. Unlike the folders that I showed you, they are local, meaning that if anyone tries to locate that file, they won't be able to see my website. So I need to host it on a server that will be publicly available to everyone, so everyone can access that specific folder. So now here on the web server, what you do is you upload all of your, so if you, okay, I don't want to upgrade. So this one only allows me to store one website, right? So if you want to upload any files or host anything, you say create spaces. The problem now, your free plan includes one space. So every time when I'm teaching this, I have to delete the one that I have and then upload another one. Because the company doesn't want to give me money for maybe demonstrating on the real domains or paying for this. All right, so here's DevOps, right? So I want to see the files. Here are the files that are on this. You can see here all of the files. So now this hosting a website is the same as like putting your all of your files in one folder, right? The difference is that now the folders, you're storing them remotely on a remote server, on a web server, so that it can be publicly available. As you can see, on that folder that I showed you that side, there were folders like index, there were images. I have a folder for images, but here I don't have a folder for images. I have all the images, uploaded all the images here. So on the web server, this hosting company has created a folder or a space for me to host my files, my HTML files, right? You can see all of the files are here, of which if you're storing them all locally, they were going to be in one folder. And then I click this and then I access that. So we have the index. If you want to edit this, it happens sometimes that the client comes to you and says, I need you to add some information on a website that you have already uploaded on the system, on the network, right? It's already accessible by many people. So the client comes to you and says, okay, I want you to edit my website, right? I want to add you some information, or my phone number has changed. So I want you to change my phone number. So you can go back to the web server, right? The one that hosting your website, and then access your files. And then down here, you want to copy the full path, and then you want to edit, right? Or you want to rename this file, or you want to delete this entire file. But now I want to edit it because the client said they want me to change their contact details because they lost their phone or they have a new phone now. They want me to add that information. So you will see the source code here. So here's my source code, but it's no longer sitting on my local computer. This is the one on the server, on the web server, right? So there's my entire source code there. Okay. So if I want to change anything here, maybe it's the contact or anything, let's say maybe their email address has changed. You see here it says email, and then I can change maybe my email address to Melusi at Advanced Assessment. And then once I make the changes, I can preview that before I upload it to back to the server. You can preview your changes, right, to make sure that, okay, it is exactly what you want. All right, so all of the files are loaded in one. And then if, let's say, for example, you want to add a new file, maybe there's an image that the user wants you to add, you can click on new file, and then you upload that specific file to the system, right? And then you look for that file and then upload it to this system, if there's any file that you're looking for. So let me click on this so that you can see how it appears on the browser. So you click on the link, and then you can see there You can see all of these buttons there is about me there. And then all the information, IT facilitator, cybersecurity, blah, blah, blah. And then good at what, whatever information is there. And then all of my classes are there. And then if I want to make some changes, I can make some changes on the website. So this is the contact us folder. You see, if I click here, contact, it takes me to this part. So again, this is a different file folder on the server, or it happens that you can add everything on one file. But because we are collaborating, right, I said to you, we need to have maybe different files. But this information can all be on one file. As you can see on my workspaces here, everything is on the index. And then this other part is just the images, right? Just for the sake of collaboration, that's why I said we can separate everything, right? We say the about, the contact, and then the home can be on a separate platform. So portfolio, my work, about me, so all of that information. So right now, if you type in your computer systemsdev.w3spaces.com, then you will see this website on your side. Because I'm no longer hosting it on my laptop, it's no longer locally hosted, right? So I've moved it to a web server so that anyone types in systemdev.w3spaces.com, they have access to that. Okay. And then which companies can we go for if you want to GoDaddy? Okay, I prefer GoDaddy, but there's so many companies that you can use, right? There are so many hosting companies. So, okay, this site, what do we have? What am I looking for? Say, I want a domain name, search for domain names, right? Let's say I'm looking for anything from .org. I want, let me say this, let me say my company is Net1 Dev. Let's see if I can get anything from them. You can see the guy searching there. Okay, net1dev.com. So this is available, right? So I can use net1dev.com. And then there's the price, right? 29 Rand per year. 80 Rand for the first year. So these are the pricing. Afterwards, some people go for afterwards because it's cheaper. It's cheaper than GoDaddy. So you can go. So that's how you store it on a server. So you choose this one and then say add in the card, and then they give you, and then after that you just make a call to them, and then they will note, okay, now they can create a space for you where you can upload your information, and then you host your site. So your site, if I go for this one, it will be net1dev.co.za. If I go for a different one down here, .us, but you don't want to go for .us, .com, right there, I go for .com, and then if I want to go for netdev.co.za, so these are available domain names. Livenet.org, if you prefer .org, you go for .org. Okay, there's one more thing when it comes to hosting a website, right? There are some that come in as premium, right? Premium, sometimes they also offer you the, okay, there's the part Ssl certificate included. So Ssl certificate, Ssl is just there for securing your information. Let's say it's a site that maybe deals with the, okay, let me show you Ssl. So when you're transmitting information, if your site is Ssl secured, it means that the information that is being transmitted from that site, it is secure, it is encrypted, right? For example, if I say FNP, and then you see there is a key there, right? So that key, it tells you, okay, there is an Ssl certificate, right? Back in the day, we used to say, if a site, wait a minute, why do I have, okay, I'm interested in FNP. Okay, that is the certificate says issued to First Bank Limited. So there's a structure when it comes to certificates, right? We have the CA, the root, all of that information. But back in the day, we used to say if a site is the key, it means it is trusted. You can trust the site. But these days, things have changed, right? Hackers have bypassed that. But basically, we're saying that this information, it can be what you call, it is encrypted, right? When you're doing anything on this information, it is encrypted. All right. What else am I looking for? Spaces, site. Is there any information that I'm missing? Okay, that important thing is, let's say you're building a site for someone, all right? Most people, what they want is you build a site for them, and then they'll ask you for a company email address. Let's say their company is netone.dev, right? They will want an email address for that. So some of these sites, they can even offer you that to say, okay, now your email address, instead of your company email address to be netonedev@gmail.com, right? Because if it's a company, most people don't trust companies that are hosted via Gmail, right? So you need to create maybe a site, an email address for the company, which would be netonedev.8 maybe whatever .co.za, right? Meaning that this is a company that we can trust, right? So you can have an email address like that, saying, okay, what else do we need when we're building a website? Am I missing? Okay, SSL is there. SSL included. Cool. You see, some of them are the premiums are expensive because there's so much. There are some other packages that are included there for you to access that. All right, guys. I think I'm done for today. Come on, what happened? Why did that open? Anyone who any questions?
No, I have questions. Then I'll ask them offline.
Hello, Ngobile.
Oh, she's off again.
Nobody, I didn't hear that question you said.
Lucy?
I think the network is gone.
Lucy?
Yes, I can hear you. All right, guys, can you hear me? Or my network's bad.
Huh?
We can hear you.
You can hear me? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I was saying, any questions before I close the meeting?
Are we coming to class next week, or are we going to still wait and see?
I think it's best for us to wait and see.
I do have questions, but they.
Oh.
Okay, no problem. Just send me a DM, man. I will respond to your questions. No problem.
Oh, okay.
Okay, cool.
Okay, that's cool. I'll do that, Melusi.
Okay. So, no questions?
No, for now we'll pack it because.
Huh?
I pack it. I do have questions. Hi, Batung. Can you guys hear me? Rose?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
So, yes, I'm saying I do have questions, more especially regarding the assignment whereby we have to work as a group.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
No,
then
that's what
we
you
have
can
do that.
It's fine. Yeah, no need to DM. You can, ask me here. What's your question?
How are we going to choose the teams? Do we still work with the previous team? And then on top of that, I see my teammates are not part of the meeting. Currently, they're not.
I think it's best with our previous teams, right? So build that site, and then we host it on. We're gonna host it using the W3 schools.
The W3.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So we all work together, but then we will put everything on W3.
Yeah. Upload. Yeah.
So everything that we're gonna do now, it's gonna be hosted on W3.
Exactly. Yeah. But the hosting, right? The hosting, we only want to do the hosting once we are happy with our code. Say, okay, the HTML, the CSS is done, our website, we're happy with the website, and then we can now take the files and then upload them on W3 schools, and then we have a website for that department.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Hey, and then the others, Melusi, I'll ask you later on.
All right, sharp. Okay. If there are no any questions, thank you guys. You guys are awesome. I'm leaving the meeting. Have a great day, further.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Cheers, guys. Bye. Toodles.
Bye.
Cheers.
Toodles. Toodles. Bye, guys.
Toodles.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Cheers.